Dailies today.
Dailies today.
On 99.3 Nigeria Info.
.3 Nigeria Info. Good morning to you, Lagos. Good morning to you, Nigeria. Once again, welcome to Dailies Today, the very last one for the week. Yeah, I'm SheriffQuadry.
And I'm Jimmy Disso. Good morning, everybody.
As we always do, we bring you headlines and analysis from the papers every weekday, Monday through Friday. And we break them down to the best of our ability. And you get to share your thought as well. Because we stream live on Facebook and YouTube. Facebook is Nigeria Info 99.3. YouTube, Nigeria Info 99.3. You'll be able to join us on those two platforms and share your thought. You can also tweet us at Nigeria Info FM on Twitter. Put in copy at Jimmy Disso as well. So we can be able to see your thought. When you're sharing your thought with us on Twitter, please add the hashtag Nigeria Info MCF to it. All right. So let's get started with the Vanguard newspaper this morning. And SARS will resist planned protest in Lagos. The police speaking.
Okay, now, you remember yesterday what I said. And to be honest with you, I just didn't want to create panic. But I'm not surprised at the story I'm seeing. What I said yesterday about the obituary and how we're now in a new era and so on and so forth, and that it might not be over yet. The police have confirmed it. The story here in the Vanguard says that the police vow to resist any form of protest, procession, or gathering under any guise or nomenclature in Lagos. The police spokesperson, Olumiwa Adejobi, in a statement stated that, now listen to this carefully, based on intelligence gathering from relevant intelligence agencies, some patriotic elements or group of people have concluded plans to orchestrate another set of violence in the state in furtherance of the recent NSAS violence, which has been analyzed as dangerous and counterproductive. I don't think I need to read the whole statement. That is frightening enough. All of us need to brace ourselves. We need to support the police. Policing, the larger part of policing demands support from the citizens in terms of information and in terms of support at times like this. Now, remember that you have a vilified, or you have a police force whose members, a lot of them feel that they've been vilified and so on and so forth. Right. So I would say that it is in our own interest for us to encourage them to get the work done. Let us, whether we like it or not, let us show love to these police. I'm not talking of Roger or anything, but let's just show them love, because apparently if what we're getting is anything to go by, it is still same of same. And the last thing you want for an outbreak like this is an apathetic police force.
So I had a conversation on this earlier this morning, and most callers were of the opinion that it's their right to protest. That instead of stopping people from protesting, why don't you provide security for the protesters? So whoever is trying to hijack any form of protest, nip it in the bud.
I'm going to read the statement, and I'm going by what I have here.
Right.
And it says that intelligence gathering from relevant authorities says some patriotic elements of group people have conducted plans to orchestrate another set of violence. That's what it says.
Well, the protest, the statement actually, the statement goes on to say that they will not tolerate any form of protest, procession, gathering, in whatever guise, peaceful or violent.
Well, I'm going by the looming danger ahead.
Right.
Okay, for me here, it says that another set of violence. That is what the police have informed us about. They haven't said that some people want to stage a peaceful demonstration. What it says here is that they have information that there is another set of violence. Now, if there is somebody or some group of persons who now want to have a peaceful demonstration, I'm going to plead with them that these are not the times to do this kind of thing when we have not healed from, because it will be hijacked. I mean, let's be real. Let's grow up and stop being unduly emotional and sentimental. Because I have this rhetoric out there where everybody believes that life is a free-for-all. It cannot be. We haven't even healed from the violence that was meted out to people
Yeah.
than for some people to get together and say they want to have another peaceful. This is not the time for it.
Right.
If you are going to have whatever peaceful it is, you must look for other means rather than gathering, which we know will definitely be hijacked. So we have to draw a balance between what should be and what is. What is now is that the country is very tense. The poverty level is so bad. Okay, and and I think that you can always protest without necessarily having to hit the streets. Any demonstration that hits the streets now,
You always say that to me. You always say that there are ways that you can actually
various ways. I just don't want to start lecturing people on
so you don't. It doesn't look like you're coaching them to.
It doesn't look as if I'm coaching them on what to do. There are various ways by which you can jolly well protest.
Right.
Various ways that would even be more effective than hitting the streets. Because hitting the streets is what we've been doing since 1960. Why don't we think of another way to do this? And what have we really gotten hitting the streets? It always ends up being hijacked. But there are various other ways by which people can show their resistance to what is going on. We just need to be a bit more imaginative.
Right.
But it's not for me to come and lecture. Neither should anybody please send me any telephone message to say that Uncle Jimmy. Because I actually had some people visit me some 2 years ago that, you talked about alternative. Can you lecture us? I said, no. I'm just to be honest with you, I'm just a journalist who wants to get his job done.
Yeah.
And I sympathize with the issues that people bring up. But I'd like to see a bit more intelligence in the things that we do. Why must we always hit the streets? Sometimes it's like a spontaneous reaction. Something you hit the streets. It's a well-worn path. We did it. Imagine I was in university in 75.
Right.
That's what we did. What did it get us? Some of our students being killed. It was always hijacked. But with the social media and new developments, there are ways by which you can make life uncomfortable for those who make life uncomfortable for you without lifting a finger. Go and read the history of people like Gandhi and Mandela. You understand what I'm saying? So it's we just need to apply a bit more intellect to these things that we do.
Right.
Definitely, anybody who assembles now and says he wants to protest is inviting anarchy and chaos. Or like the good old politician in Ibadan said, today is Friday, I can joke about it.
Yes, let's joke.
Anarchy and Chawus. There was an old, he's dead now, God bless his soul. I won't mention his name. Says there will be anarchy and Chawus. That's anarchy and chaos. But it's not Edibo.
Let's move on. Let's look at Vanguard, page 21. We know where our palliatives are kept. Share them now, or Niger Youths 1. These ones are very polite.
Not just that they're polite. It's a polite warning veiled with heavy implications. I got this story about, I think on Tuesday, I mentioned it to you privately.
Yeah.
And I was dilly-dallying whether to go public with it.
Yeah.
But now that it's in the papers, what the Niger youths are saying eventually is that they're giving a yellow card. They're telling their governors, don't take us for granted. I hope the government of the day, both federal and whatever, would quickly rise up to meet a lot of these youth demands. It will save the day. Because once it starts in Niger, it will spread.
Yes, it will. Once it starts anywhere in
the north, it will spread.
It will spread.
And I think that all I need to say is that very quickly the authorities should move in. Because it says here, major youth organizations in the states whose agitation for improved welfare, security, and job creation prompted the meeting convened by Ambassador Zubairu Dada came out openly to speak out their minds regarding recent protests over police brutality and sharing of COVID palliatives. Okay, I got this on Tuesday, I think Monday or Tuesday. I got this information, and it's brewing. Now this came with this is coming with notice.
Yeah.
So the earlier the authorities concerned move to meet the demands of these young people and resolve with them. But the authorities need to be careful. You don't want to be meeting with a group only for another group to emerge.
Right.
You don't want to be throwing money at a group only for other groups now to see it as okay, so this is what it's all about. The mistake we made in the Niger Delta.
Right. But I would love to know, how would you suppose the authorities go about this? They're saying they know where their palliatives are. They should share it now. To me, it would seem like another group can come up and say, you are not sharing it to the right people. You're sharing it with your people.
Well, that it presents a dilemma, really, because what it does mean is that they're ready to break into the place. So maybe just at least for this particular purpose,
right,
to ease tension, just start distributing it in the manner in which you wanted to in the very first instance.
Right, transparently, most.
But
likely.
you see, this is what I always say about precedents. Once just yesterday I was saying when the gentleman turned 70, put ads, and I said we're in a new Nigeria. Okay, so what is going to happen? I hope it doesn't degenerate up to a point where groups of people now start saying, oh, we know where you put all the cement, we're going to go grab it. And it now gets to, oh, we know where you put all our money, we're going to come for you, and things like that. I just hope that's why, we need to ease the tension as much as possible.
Right, indeed.
Because it could jolly well happen.
It could. I agree with you.
We need to be careful.
It could. Let's go back to the Punch, away from the Vanguard for a moment. Let's go back to the Punch. Lekki shootings, Army makes U-turn, appears before Lagos panel Saturday.
Well, I'm glad the Army has, the Army must submit itself to civil rule. They must submit, the soldiers must learn that they must submit themselves to civil rule of the bloody civilians. The years of military rule had let the Army look down on civilians and think that, they were subordinate to them. No, it's the other way around.
Right.
Fela says uniform na cloth na tailor this one.
That's true.
Yes, it's true. Yeah, uniform na cloth na tailor this one. So I'm glad that they submitted themselves. The Army excuse originally was that, it was the Lagos State government that should have invited them and not the panel. But I think the allowed reason prevail. Okay, if the panel is inviting other people, why should the Army be an exception?
Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The Army itself should realize that there are a lot of perceived privileges that the military seem to have that occurred just because we had military rule. In other countries, the Army is completely subordinate to civil rule.
Right.
But here you do find Army takes one way, does this and that, and feels a bit above the law. And we need to make sure that doesn't happen. Anyway, all's well that ends well. They have decided that they would now they will now appear
before the panel.
Just appear before the panel and say your piece. And say your piece. So that's what it is. If you want to read, it's almost a full page story in the Punch. It has a lot of other things going on in there.
Right.
But the major thing now is that, they will be represented at the panel. So.
Right. Which is good enough. Let's go to YouTube and take a few thoughts. Lulu Dave on YouTube says, some people have vested interest in destabilizing the state and the nation. Any protest on NSAS is online and not physical, and it's 505. It's currently being attended to. That's what Lulu Dave said.
Is he speaking on behalf of the NSAS people?
I have no idea.
See, because what you're going to have is another group might jolly well show up. This is not a time I would not support any public procession. I like to be an adult in the room.
Right.
This is not a time. Everywhere is so tender that I don't think any responsible person really will be thinking of hitting the streets at this point in time.
Emmanuel Ajayi seems to disagree with you. He says there is right to peaceful demonstration on the streets guaranteed by the Constitution. If the government envisages the possibility of being hijacked, then they should provide security to the protesters.
They cannot provide security to the protesters. It's going to fail. There is right, but there's also common sense. Nigeria is in a state of emergency.
Right.
You're lucky you have a president who has not exercised that full right to say that, look, we're in a state of emergency and therefore emergency laws will apply. Let's be grown up, for God's sake. This new thing that we have about right. No right is absolute. Nigerians must learn that. No right is absolute.
Right.
You have the right to sleep in your house that is a bungalow on Ogunlano Drive and leave the front door and all the windows open. It is your right. But is it sensible? I mean, let's call a spade a spade. You need to be careful. Especially you young people out there, you need to be a bit more careful. I always say there is what should be, and then there is the reality of what is.
Right.
Nigeria is in a very terrible state as we speak, almost in a state of war. And so this is not the time to talk about is your right to assemble and right to do this and right to do that. There is right, and then there is common sense. And then you must also think of other people. Don't just think of yourself. Okay, you want to hit the streets with your group. What about when the effects do come?
Yeah.
What did apply? The demonstrations took place at Lekki. It was hijacked, and throughout the state, there were casualties. So let's always put things in a proper balance and stop talking about constitution and this and that at a time when you know that some of these things cannot really apply. I'm not afraid to come out and say that it's not everything that is constitutional that is right. Because it is framed in time. Do you get what I'm saying?
I'm with you.
The Constitution itself is just a document, it's just a guide, and it is framed in time. It is your constitutional right to have free movement 24/7. Why did you stay home when there was a curfew?
Right. I mean, you always say freedom of movement, right? But when they declare curfew, why did he stay?
Yeah, well, why did you say, why don't go outside and test that, whatever? Let's all grow up. Let's be grown up.
Prince Shola Shodeke on Twitter is agreeing with you, and the Prince Shola Shodeke said the proponents of the protest should channel their energy towards mobilizing the youth for the next elections. They should start by massively obtaining their PVC.
Exactly. The country is tender. We know that, we are not to blame for all these things. But when you have an accident, and when a man is hit by a car that has gone on the wrong side, or like we say, go one way, and you are hit, what do? Do you run after the man to arrest him, or you quickly take the man to Igbo College to treat, which is priority? These times are not normal. So let's be grown up, let's be matured, and please let's stop putting these narratives out in the public space, especially for those who don't have a clear understanding of what life is about.
Right.
I'd like people to rein in and put in some mature thinking. I'm not saying you have the right to demonstrate, but there are other ways by which you can do it rather than putting other people's and your own life in danger.
If you're just joining us, we're streaming live on Facebook and YouTube, Nigeria Info 99.3. You can go there. Let's know what you think about the conversation we're having currently. But quickly, let's go to the Vanguard newspaper, Jimmy. No more foreign medical trips for Buhari. Senate warns State House officials.
I don't even need to read it.
Oh, yeah.
It won't work.
Take first.
This is just hot air. Because the next thing you're going to hear is that, when the president is going, he went on his private...
it will just be some private visit.
In his private capacity. That he went private capacity. If you then ask, how did he fund it? They say, friends were able to contribute. A president always has many friends.
Yeah.
People like you and I won't have any. So don't let's
over $1 billion budgeted for the clinic.
But they say it's not even enough.
Is there a justification to say that the president can't get medical help, at least to a very large extent, at the ASO clinic?
Look, I always say there is what should be and there is what is.
Yeah.
For as long as we run a
over
corrupt
$1 billion
system, how much of it actually gets to the clinic?
That's a problem.
Did you hear the comment of the First Lady?
Yeah, I did.
I mean, come on.
I did.
You're talking about State House clinic.
Right.
Why must the president even have a State House clinic? In other countries, well, let's talk about what should be. When David, what's his name? Well, not David Cameron, wasn't the other?
Yeah.
Funny, wasn't
Boris
Johnson.
Boris Johnson.
When he had
Boris Johnson.
COVID, he was treated by the equivalent of what would have been Luther UCH. He was treated by the hospital that was available to the common man in the UK.
That's right.
I mean, so what are we talking about? So it's not this fuss about state house clinic. I don't really understand. Let us make sure that we have adequate facilities, medical facilities, for all and sundry.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yes,
okay,
I do.
you will have a state house clinic for maybe emergencies, given our own whatever. But there is nothing stopping a president from, or if it gets complicated, hopefully not, going to Luth or UCH or whatever. You just have a VIP section that will cordon off. But you can't legislate it. It can't work. Nigerians don't have the discipline for it. Okay, so no more foreign trips for Buhari. Senate wants State House. What about them?
The lawmakers themselves.
Yes. Why are you quiet?
I don't have an answer to that.
You don't have an answer to that.
No.
Because we know it won't. Don't let's break our backs on things that we know won't work.
Yeah.
Okay, if we are going to budget for, let's look for me. What is most important are the provisions that you make for the ordinary Nigerian. That is more important, and the way by which you can be sure that the resources get to the right place at the right time. Not all this rhetoric. They will always bypass it. No, the president is going on a visit. He's going on leave for 2 weeks.
So
Who funded it? Is friends of the president. How will the president of a country like Nigeria not have so many friends who can fund something to the
Of course.
only God knows, to endless
of course.
budgets?
Of course.
Do you know that in some democracies,
Right.
there is a limit to which the president can even influence contracts and things like that? But here, the power of the president is absolute.
Let's pick another headline from the Nation newspaper. This is a column here, Society Rendezvous, written by Oladapo Shefora about Jim Ovia's unusual birthday.
Yes, I saw this and I said, so I was right, and I'm glad this has happened. Now, all of us know Jim Ovia is the chairman of Zenith Bank. Okay, and it was his birthday recently. Now, Jim Ovia could close the whole of, what's the name of that street in front of Civic Center? That made it in Ahmadu Bello. He could close the whole of Ahmadu Bello if he could. But what did Jim Ovia do? Given the sign of the times, sources say that Jim Ovia, with all the money he gets, he spent the day with his wife and kids.
Right.
As they just celebrated him with a family dinner, and they all sang the birthday song for him and prayed to his creator for long life. Do we have individual creators, or is one creator for everybody?
I think it's just one.
Well, the creator that, if
It's just one. It's just one.
What is a leather in Yoruba? That's
creator now.
That's creator. People have different letters now, because people refer to my, if I have a call, I say leather me ada.
And my God will judge.
But I like to share Jibovia's creator. And we have the same name. But I am glad that we're beginning to see some sensible behavior. And he said he celebrated with a family dinner and sang songs and whatever. And they said that the chairman could not throw any big celebration, not even with the looming second wave of COVID.
Right.
And so I'm glad. But they say something here that they are planning his 70th, which is going to be grand. I would advise that everybody try to keep a low profile in these trying times. Take a cue from what the northern guy said. We know where the palliatives are. Do you know how many things they know?
Right.
They know what they know. Leave this. Let me leave this.
Yes, please leave him alone. Leave him alone.
Let me just
Leave me alone. Let's take one last headline before we go from the Nation newspaper. Insecurity heightens in Edo. Hotel lodgers robbed at gunpoint.
Again, I don't want to frighten anybody, but we can't see these things and ignore them. According to this story, lodgers and staff of a... Now, listen to this story here. It's in the Nation. It says, lodgers and staff of a well-fortified hotel near Government House and the headquarters of the 4th Brigade of the Nigerian Army, GRA in Benin. I suspect it might be Motel Benin Plaza, anyone's in GRA there, were robbed at gunpoint after being tied by the criminals who collected their cash, mobile phones, and other valuables. Now, listen, this is a hotel that is near the Government House,
right,
and the Nigerian Army, 4th Brigade Nigerian Army. The robbers, they didn't just sneak in, they spent over 1 hour drinking and eating without any challenge. The robbers, who arrived at 3 a.m., tried the security man to power a generator before heading for the rooms and offices. 13 lodgers were thoroughly beaten. were thoroughly beaten, sorry. And the robbers who were armed with guns, machetes, and axes, while the hotel manager was critically injured. These are the sign of the times that we are in. I remember way back 25 years ago when people were robbed, they ran to hotels for succor and for security. But here you are, near the government house and also the headquarters of the 4th Brigade. You ask yourself, didn't those at the 4th Brigade or those guarding the government house hear any noise at all? Nothing of the sort. The robbers had the field day. They even had time to eat and drink, and they moved from one room to the other.
Quite sad. Very
Yes.
sad.
So these are the signs of the time. We all need to be absolutely careful.
Jimmy, we must go right now. What is coming up at 9?
Nothing really. Today is Friday. Nothing. We just sit back and have fun.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean nothing. It's a sign of the times, Sheriff. Everybody, I have this. There's a spirit in me that is not well activated, because all you have is despair.
Yeah.
There doesn't seem to be much hope in the horizon. So we just sit back and have fun. Thank God, my good friend in Vanguard has a list of about 10 Muslims and Muslims who are looking for spouses and so on and so forth. We
Right.
dance around things like that.
Right. Jimmy, thank you so much for coming around.
Thank you very much, Sheriff.
Lagos, this is where we leave it. Dailies Today for today. We're back next week, Monday at 7:30 for another round of Dailies Today. I'm SheriffQuadry. At the top of the hour, we have the news coming up. After the news, we'll be talking about another interesting conversation that we'll be having with a guest who is right here in the studio already. Good morning to you.